for some analysis.
Expert analysis to do some analyzing
And we
here.
might break stuff down, too.
Exactly, yeah. I want to start. I know that you were not happy with the champion select on the side of teammate Zyrene, so hit me.
No, watching teammates since Challenger, they struggle in champion select consistently, and they find their style, but then they're like, let's not play that style. Like the comp that CLG ran, where it's like tank jungler and then a carry top laner, somebody who can team fight well, is something I expected from teammate. Like, first picking the Maokai, it's something that CaliTrolls does not do well on, and we have not seen success on that champion, and they go for it.
And we saw the mouse over on Aurelia until the last second,
Yeah,
and I don't know why that wasn't locked in.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they think they have a style that works for them. It's weird because it calls back to what I was talking about with Team Liquid at the beginning of the day, where it's like you see things in scrims, you're like, this is how our team functions, this is what works here, right? And they have all these games, you're like, oh yeah, you know, the Maokai's working, we're getting these flanks, he's bullying. And to be fair, right, CaliTrolls beat Zion Spartan in lane.
He absolutely
as
did.
Maokai,
Yep.
right? Like, there's clearly you're seeing parts that work here, and they're seeing a bunch of games that we aren't, but we get here on the broadcast, and it's like every single time we're like, no, Maokai fails. They can never translate it into the actual gameplay.
Right. I think that's an important distinction to make, is that it's not the individual laning phase that, I mean, CaliTrolls did play very well, beat Zion Spartan, but the transition for the team into the team fighting, it's just not there for whatever reason. The makeup of their team disallows a non-playmaker in the top lane.
Yeah, and the big thing here is CLG has a big damage comp. Mid-game power spike AD carry, Sivir, right, just going to start fights, 2 items is fine for her. Big mid-game AD carry and Corki. You've got Sejuani to start big mid-game team fights. Rumble, big mid-game champion. Link said it in the interview. We want to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff mid-game. And they're all big damage dealers. And then teammates like, we have kind of a low damage jungler, right? Like, I mean, Rek'Sai does some damage, but not enough. Like, Maokai is not really a big diver. He's a defensive tank. It's like, great. You're going to sit here and play defensively against 3 glass cannon damage dealers. This is going to work great for you in team fights, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't.
Yeah, and it was basically all on Slushy's shoulders there. Like, that Orianna's never going to do enough damage to just completely wipe out everybody on CLG. And with 2 AD carries, they just separate them, and they forced him a lot of the times in fights to go only after one, but the other one's hitting him at the same time.
I do want to pull up our replay, which is going to show that. We're going to go 24 minutes into the game. Bottom river, Freak, take it away.
So this is really cool. The AD carries do a good job of splitting up for the most part, and Zion Spartan especially hides off in a corner because he is a high damage champion in the top lane. Lo and behold, then he wants to go kill the backline squishies. So mostly watch Zion Spartan and watch Link and double lift spacing. Let's roll the clip out. Watch what happens here. Smithy's here taking Dragon. Thing is, his team can't help him or they will get Shockwave. So like double lift can attack. Link like mostly pokes. He doesn't even hit Dragon, I think, once at all. And then finally the engage comes in. Zion Spartan's still waiting, and he's like, all right, they really screwed up. Let's go. He's going to flash into the back line. Link does not get hit by Shockwave, nor does Lulu. Now into the back line. Smithy gets to actually go in because of how much they forced teammate to go in, because of how hard they have to try to dive these guys. I think if teammate had just gone for a spacing Shockwave, put the ball down, go for the Sejuani with just something at all, just like hit him with the Graves, hit him with the Orianna auto attacks, and be like, I dare you to help. I dare you to help Sejuani. Shockwave, you can't.
Yeah, control
that
the chokes. Control the choke points with the Orianna. You don't have to force those fights. You can just pick people off and then take it afterwards. And that was a fight too, like right before that, all throughout the game, Slushy has been hitting shockwaves, but people have been flashing away from them. So that's like that was his first shockwave in the game, where he threw it via an E onto somebody, the command protect. So he didn't have anything for himself afterwards as a defensive option. So that was something that was kind of scarring. So I think like before that, he's like, I'm tired of missing shockwaves. I'm just going to throw it on a dude in the fight. But it was an overextension, and they left the backline vulnerable.
Well, and ultimately, they only have 2 damage threats in the Graves and the Orianna, and they were leaving them unprotected. Right? So you have this defensive Maokai, but you sent him in with a Rek'Sai and
defensive Maokai? It's CaliTrolls.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing defensive about that guy's playstyle.
Right, but the champion itself, right? It's like, so you're not going to do enough damage to kill their Corki or their Sivir with a Lulu, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you're gonna leave your Orianna and your Corki.
Fight, you know, like it's not. Actually, I happened to run into an AP Maokai like a month ago, and he destroyed some people. It was great. He went Stork boots. He got a Haunting guys. He got a Roa. Do that build, CaliTrolls. Go for it. Like he'll actually have some success.
Don't do that build, CaliTrolls.
Don't go into solo queue with that build.
Hey, it carried me.
But something I want to talk about is we talked a lot about teammate and their shortcomings in their team comps, but I want to talk about CLG. because they've struggled in team fights over and over again. In the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we've been like they struggle with their team fights, they struggle with their late game, and judging their power spikes versus the enemy teams. This was a great display of, we know what we're doing mid-game. Trinity force power spike. Zion's behind, but he hit his Leandries and his Sork shoes, and they were like, group, fight, force the fight, let it happen. And that was beautiful to see from CLG. And that's what they need more of, because they were all on the same page.
They had a couple of good choices. It still, to me, is still a question mark for CLG, because it's easy to look good when your opponents make a lot of mistakes and you capitalize on them. CLG still managed to hemorrhage a gold lead, like in the middle of the game, right, and let teammate back in off of bad team fights. Teammate overextends, like smart by Zion to wait in the flank, like that's good on him, but like teammate played right into it on a ward. He's sitting there on a site ward, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna go dive past that and just like let Graves and Orianna overextend.
But the fact that they wanted to pick that fight in the first place around that time, mid-game power spikes, was good because it's something they haven't done in the past.
And to be fair, they recognize the threats correctly, which in the past they have done poorly, right? They understood that of all the champions on teammates' team, the one that was going to be their greatest threat was Orianna. So they made sure that every time a Righteous Glory, Lulu, you know, a Whimsy in, the Sejuani ult was going for Orianna and no one else. Make sure she doesn't get that shockwave off, or she gets a panic one off that isn't going to be super effective. Yeah, I just wonder, like, if TSM were playing teammates champions, what that team fight would have been like. Because TSM would not have done that and overextended their backline. And, like, that's what I'm going for is CLG are smart players. They, like, Zion's a good player. These guys are smart. But if a better team fight is executed from the other team, what happens then?
Yeah, and last thing I just want to say is Afromu played that game with no masteries. Zero.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that happened. He did die a lot for it, though, in the beginning of the game. He was definitely a target of Teammate early on. Anyway, this is going to make tomorrow's game against Teammate and Gravity very interesting, as the winner will secure their spot into playoffs. When we come back, though, Team Liquid are on the hunt for a playoff spot, and it continues with our next match against Winter Fox. Don't go anywhere. The action continues after this.
Roger that, Scara.
I just want you guys to know, if you have any problems, just think about yesterday's game. The CSGO game. But you weren't in, but trust me, great stuff happened.
Alright.
The shield coming in, Dodo gets the Link. Link's gonna get hit up here, and he's definitely going down, but they get the first blood.
Go for trash, go for trash. There you go. Oh, Malk. They want me. Malkai. They're on me. Yo, backline. Graves, flash. Graves, I hit him with both harpoons. Let's go. I got flash.
Yeah,
go. You can dragon. Rumble, no flashes. No flashes.
Oh, wow. Zion Spartan wants the entire fight. He gets Lulu ulted as he dives in. He will go down for his troubles.
They just dive right in.
Oh, Righteous Glory. Team 8 is a deer in headlights coming from this initiation. Counter Logic Gaming takes down Team 8.